Ba-ba-ba-bum. Start every show with an air horn. How are you, James?
I'm good. How are you, Britt? Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm doing my best, dude. I've been doing so much online.
Yeah, this is such a, I don't know if you have this reflection, but I've thought a handful of times, like, as this has been going on, I'm sure a lot of people have been like this, I started researching, like, historical plagues, and you just think about how terrible they must have been, because it's like, oh, gosh, they didn't have electric lights, so, at least we can still talk to friends, argue about sports that aren't on the internet all day, watch movies. We can at least do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, the people that experience all the other plagues, they didn't even know that they didn't get to argue with their friends about sports. Like, that's a luxury for us.
They just sat at home and talked about how pissed off they were that they didn't get any credit to watch any cricket or anything like that. Or they didn't play cricket during the Black Plague. I don't know.
They did hoop stick.
They're big hoop stickers. I didn't know that about them, actually. You see that in, like, the Renaissance paintings.
Okay, so I know who you are, but this is going on the internet, and maybe they don't. So tell us about yourself.
Oh, I would love to. So my name is James. I'm a part of a group called Space Rhyme Continuum, and we're like a hip-hop improv comedy act. And in the last few months, I've been doing like a solo version of it. So I've mixed like improvised hip-hop with stand-up, with improvised stand-up as well. So I just make a bunch of stuff up. I just make up stuff all day.
I'm a professional maker-upper.
Yeah. I've said that a couple times in my intro lately. I've been like, ever since I was a little kid, I just made stuff up. It's like when I was little, I got in trouble for it all the time. Now that I'm a grown-up, I still get in trouble for it all the time.
Yeah, bullshitting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on this. Yeah, totally. Just totally making up lies all the time. That is, that's what I do.
It's a skill. That's a skill. So I'm going to ask you a lot of stuff, but it's like generally just like your creative process. But like, I'm particularly curious about the transition because I've seen you in Space Rhyme. Yeah. Well, didn't Space Rhyme start with 3? Tell me let's start with the history of Space Rhyme.
I would love to tell that story. So.
Oh yeah, I know some of this. The Korea part, I remember.
Sure. So, I, got into like hip hop and stuff like that when I was a pretty young teenager, like 15, and I would like freestyle at parties and at college and stuff like that. But it never even occurred to me to apply it to theater, even though I did improv acting and was in plays and stuff. I don't know why I never put those two together. But I was at a musical improv show at Cold Town Theater in Austin whenever I was like 23, and I was watching everybody doing stuff with like instruments and singing, improvising, and I was like, oh, I could totally do this with hip hop. So I approached some guys in Austin, and then they were all like, no, man, I only do written. So I was like, oh, that first you did on stage was so awesome. Can't you freestyle? They're like, no, it took me months to write that. I'm like, well, just try it. And they'd be like, yo, what up, bitch? You know that I'm rich. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You can't freestyle. I'm sorry I asked. And so.
Austin.
Austin, indeed.
Oh, Austin, Texas.
So I was very frustrated working in an office, and I was frustrated with the politics of Austin stand-up and music. So I moved to South Korea, and I didn't think I was going to do any of that stuff. I thought I was just going to hang out with little Korean kids, look at some palaces, go eat a bunch of, kimchi. I didn't think I was going to do any of that stuff. But it just so happened over there, and there was like a really thriving stand-up scene, and then the hip-hop scene was pretty good too. And I met my two friends who I started it with, Benny and Pestilence, who I'm sure will watch this at some point. So hi, Benny and Pestilence. I also met the friend who painted this for me. His name's Adam Palmeter. He was our beatboxer for a while. So
what was his name? I didn't catch it.
Adam Palmeter. And
wow.
Yeah, he takes records and then he paints landscapes on, or like skylines on them.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he's a great artist. He's kind of been having a hard time with the coronavirus because he's spent the last few years just wandering around the world painting murals. And,
oh wow!
Yeah, he's like shows up in like Mexico. He's always like posting about being in South America, Mexico, Central America, like painting murals and stuff. And then he's like, "Hey, everybody, now I'm in Africa."
What a life!
I know. Now he's in Buffalo with his parents with coronavirus. So.
I'm sure it's a learning experience, but he had landed in Korea, and so y'all just crossed paths.
Yes, yeah. Well, and he and Benny, one of my co-founders, went to Hebrew camp together, or they like met like there's some sort of like teenager thing where they went to Israel or something. And so they were friends from that, and then he decided to go to Korea. And then he was like, "Hey, do you have any friends?" He goes, "Oh, do I have some friends?" And so Adam became our good buddy, and I introduced him to stand-up, or I shouldn't say introduced him, but I helped him with his first set, which is so funny.
Wow.
Yeah, well, because he grew up in Brooklyn, and then when he moved back to the U.S., he ran an open mic that had, and like people who were on Saturday Night Live would drop in. I think John Mulaney dropped in one time, and then whenever I saw that he like left New York and went to Vietnam, I like texted him and was like, "Dude, I thought you were gonna like, I was looking for you to like put me on." So yeah, dude. The thing about New York City is it's really, really hard to make money, even if you have like famous people coming to your comedy room. So anyway, so back to Space Rhyme is that my two friends, Benny and Pestilence, I had come up with this idea and I approached them about it. They were like, yeah, we can try it. And then so we did. We got pretty popular, had a nice little following. And I was like, hey, we should move back to the U.S. and try to do this. And they're like, no, we're going to get married. Not to each other, to women and stuff. But and so
that's a very misleading way to say that. I
know. And then, so I moved back. I tried Austin again. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to move back to Austin. Still no rappers, no freestyle rappers in Austin. So I moved here and have had a lot more success with it here. I love Houston.
Yeah. Houston's the shit.
I know. Love it.
And so then where did D-Tray come in?
I just met D-Tray at an open mic. I was looking for somebody and looking for another person to join. And yeah, the first time I ever saw D-Tray, he was on the street downtown trying to sell his CD to somebody walking past.
Wow.
So that's like cemented in my mind, and it'd be like, come on, please buy my CD. Come on, you know you see me.
Oh wow, was he rapping while he did it?
Yeah, he would like rapping.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, that was his pitch. He'd be like, let me kick you the best freestyle you ever heard in your life. He's like, if you're impressed, you got to buy a CD. So that was his pitch.
Wow, that's wild. And now you're doing it. So that leads me to my next question is, what was the transition like to solo? Like, how has that been?
Absolutely. So I don't know how D-Tray feels about putting his business out there, but he and his girlfriend who had a car broke up. And then he also moved kind of far away from me. And then, because he used to live real close, I could just whip by, right by pick him up. And then the other thing that happened is around that same time, I was watching a comedian on a YouTube video do some crowd work. And I noticed that the comedian was kind of being a little mean-spirited. And then he was also mostly talking about people's physical appearances. And so my thought was, what if I were to do crowd work that was based more on what people have experienced, and I took away that mean-spiritedness, So instead of like going up to somebody and commenting about their body or whatever, or if they're from a foreign country, make some sort of xenophobic joke or something. What if I were to ask a question that elicited an interesting response, and then did stand up about that, and then transitioned it to a freestyle? So
yeah, that's awesome.
And so it's been a pretty fun experience. The thing about it is that the first time I did it, I was really nervous about the crowd work, but it went really well. And my freestyling was kind of lacking. My friend who is one of the people who runs Comedy Sports was like, yeah, James, like that crowd work was awesome. He goes, well, what happened to your freestyles, bro? I was like, I gotta find a way to do them both. Gotta find a way to get them both going. And so I've been doing a lot better now. It's like I've mentally taught myself how to keep a little bit in the tank. Like I think that was what happened is I just put it all out there during my crowd work, and then when it was time to freestyle, I was just like, mouse trap, snapping, watch me rap. Go back to your crowd work.
Because you were like, you would think of like a joke, and then you would immediately just like use that in the crowd work, and so then your rap had no jokes in it.
Right, yeah.
Gotcha.
I was everywhere creative to go with the freestyling because all the good stuff I used for crowd work. So now if I come up with a really good idea that I know will make a good freestyle, I push it to the back of my mind. It's like, all right, hold on to that one. I'll come out with it. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun doing it. They're a little bit. The energy is very different than it is whenever we do Space Rhymes. So it's been fun. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't get to see you. Most Sell Your Body shows, I'm like back and forth a lot because there's like a lot of people and it's like a whole thing. But on performance art night, I got to see your whole set. And it was awesome. It was so good and so funny.
Yeah, thank you. That performance art night, I told people about that because the woman who was an embalmer was so awesome. Because the thing about it is that line. So for people out there in internet land, I frequently ask the question, who in this room has had the most unusual job in their life? And this woman, shoots her hand up and goes, me. She goes, I'm an embalmer. And I was like, I've wanted to meet someone like you my entire life. Because, and I'll get to this in a second, is I actually had written a line in my journal about being embalmed years before. So I asked her, I'm like, what's, some interesting things that have happened, in your career as an embalmer? And she says, oh, so many things. She goes, we, the hospital lost a body, blamed it on us. And she goes, and there was a plane crash into a swimming pool, but only the pilot died. And they brought him to us, and we had to embalm him, and they had put him in a little baggie, or in a body bag and brought us. And then that moment, I thought to myself, I just felt myself being guided by the universe. And I was like, ask her name. And I said, hey, can you tell me your name? And she goes, yeah, my name is Maggie. And I was like, perfect. So I'm performing. I go to the back of the stage, cross my arms over my chest, close my eyes, and hold the mic like this. And I go, I lay calmly, I lay calmly, I lay calmly as they begin to embalm me. Something like, the lessons in my life, I had to earn them to learn them, but that doesn't matter as they crack open my sternum. And then I keep going about how, that the hospital lost my body, and that I was like, where's Waldo? And they're trying to like find my corpse. And then I said, I was in a plane crash, but they put me in little baggies, packed me all up, and brought me to Maggie, and everyone just, it was a good one. It was a fun one.
Real good. A little baggy.
I just felt it. In my heart, I was like, James, you got to ask her name. And I had no idea that's what it was going to be, but it was perfect.
I think it's like so brilliant that you did it from the perspective of the dead people.
Well,
that does not seem like an obvious choice to me at all.
Well, it's really where my improv side comes out, because it is like, because one of the Sell Your Body shows that I really enjoyed the video from. You do such a good job of bringing out audiences. All my videos from your shows are always so good because you always bring out such a great audience. There's so many people, and they're always just such an attentive, good audience.
I don't know how I do that, but they are. Those are some of the best crowds in the world.
Yeah. Your shows are always so fun to do. I always will do them whenever I'll cancel something else to do one of your shows.
Well, you've been on almost every single one of them.
I know, because I'm such an attention whore, and you do such a great job.
Well, and your work is so unique. You know what I mean? It's like I always want something that's different, and it's like, who the fuck else is gonna freestyle, improv? You know what I mean? Like.
I do want to tell the story about the show of yours I did, where the theme was people doing something they've never done before. You remember that one?
Oh my God, I remember. That was before Sell Your Body show. That was the one-time only show. And it was like one of the,
That one was so funny because you had said, you're like, hey, did you think about taking a shot of Tabasco and then rapping after that? And I was like, I don't do stuff like that, Britt. And you're like, what about dressing up like a cat and then freestyling from the point of view of a cat? And I was like, well, I've done that before, but yeah, I'll do it for this as long as I don't have to shoot Tabasco. Remember that you did the nose and the whiskers on me, and we had a hip-hop beat that was made out of cat meowing. And the thing I tell people about that performance is that my plan was, I was like, all right, I'm going to get a pet owner in the audience to tell me about their cat, and then I'm going to take the things about their cat, the cat's name and like the funny things it does, and then that's going to be the basis for my for my freestyle. Well, there's a woman in the audience who wanted to talk about her cat, and I was like, what are some cute things he does? And she told me like 2, and then I was like, okay, thank you, but she wanted to keep telling me more about her cat. And she's like, oh, wait, I'm not done. Wait, I want to tell you some other funny things he does. Oh, hey, I'm ready to do my thing. She goes, let me say one more thing he does. I'm like, please, man, please, I got it. I'm going to perform now. She's like, wait, but he does something so cute with his whiskers. That's what he
Oh my God, I don't remember that at all. That is so funny.
It was a good one. That was a fun show. But what I was gonna say is that last Sell Your Body show we did, where I talked about from the perspective of a beaver, and I was like,
"Oh,
talking to you, yes, ma'am. Let's go and make beaver love in my den." And so, just a horny young beaver male trying to attract a mate using my tail. Oh, yo, girl, come and get some of this beaver.
So do you do any traditional improv anymore?
Every once in a while, I'll do like a jam or something like that, just to kind of keep my skills in there. But yeah, not too often, but every once in a while. I was on a podcast recently where they interviewed and then they do scenes on the podcast. And apparently I was just supposed to be interviewed. I wasn't supposed to jump into the scenes, but I just did it anyway.
Oh, like they're doing a thing and you're just like sitting there on the mic, like hanging out.
Yeah, so I just jumped into the scenes. And because somebody told me that later, and then I was like listening, and I was like, oh wait, I can see where they're trying to usher my character off. They're like, okay, well thanks so much. I was like, yeah, well hey, let's get him a pizza.
I have more stuff to say about my cat.
Yeah, that's more things going on. So then later in the podcast, you can see they kind of welcomed me in. They were like, all right.
I would not improv is really hard for me actually. And you know what? This is what I was thinking is like, because my inclination is always to find the punchline. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not really as committed to the narrative. And so like my curiosity for you is like, do you feel compelled to rap often when you're in a traditional improv scene?
That's a good question. I don't necessarily, now that I'm thinking about it. I think one thing is that I think that because it wouldn't be natural that I mean, if it were to come up, I would definitely do it. But I don't think I've ever done an improv scene where that happened. 2 friends of mine who are very, very funny improv actors, Connor Farrell and Nick Brownring, they have a troupe called NC-17 where they improvise movies. So they like take a popular movie that's out and they haven't seen, and then they get the synopsis, and then they do a movie. And they wanted to do a hip hop movie that I hadn't seen and they hadn't seen, and then do a version of it with me. And so
that is so cool.
Fun idea, and I love those guys. They're 2 of my good buddies. So
that's such a funny concept.
Yeah, it's a really good take on it because especially if they haven't seen a movie but I have, and I'm sitting there watching them going, it's like, hey, this actually was better than what was on Dr. Dolittle. And I was like, y'all, they should have had you guys improvise the screenplay instead of what they wound up with. You just killed it. So
let's just scrap the old one.
Yeah. Let's get Robert Downey. You guys just improvise the lines, then Robert Downey and the CGI parent will do what you guys say. Yeah. So they're really, really funny. They did a really, really good job with that.
That's a really cool concept. I've been trying to think of things that like, it's so weird being online now, and so, but the thing about making the online content, that's fine because I love it now, but I was so against it before. But I'm also watching more online content than I ever have too. And that's kind of like a paradigm shift because there are so many really bright content creators. Do you have like a favorite? Who are you loving online right now? Are you like on the rabbit hole scrolling?
Sure. I was going to ask you that question because it sounds like you've run some cool stuff I would definitely like to learn about. I'm trying to think. The one thing, and this isn't really so much these are people who are already famous, is that they've had these hit battles between famous hip hop producers, and so they'll have them both on IG Live, and they'll just be kind of going back and forth with their hits, and so that's really cool because it reminds me a lot. Yeah, it's really, they've had obviously huge people on there. They've had like Manny Fresh and Scott Storch. They've had DJ Premier and the RZA. So they had all these really huge people. They had Babyface and Teddy Riley the other night for the old folks. It was it was some good stuff. And so that's probably been some of my favorite online content. I'm trying to think of other really creative things. I know that Comedy Sports has been doing online improv matches. I haven't watched one yet, but I'm really curious to see how they did it. You know, Saturday Night Live, they did that one episode where everyone broadcasted from their apartments. So it's cool how people are doing different things. What is something that you've seen that you thought was cool? It was really unusual.
Well, I got a TikTok.
Yeah, sure.
I got a fucking TikTok, dude. Like that changed my life. Like,
what's the coolest TikTok you've seen? And what's something you want to do with TikTok? Because that's what I always tell people. Whenever I tell people about you, I always talk about how I feel like some of your premises are just so unbelievably brilliant. Like, obviously, you know, I'm a huge fan of strip comedy and then the Dildo Pictionary. Some of your ideas are just awesome. They're just like so brilliant. So, what's something that you wanted to try with TikTok that you haven't gotten a chance to yet, or that you haven't?
Well, I just started I'm doing witchy stuff, but I actually did not consider, because, you know, when I think of Sell Your Body Show, I think of how interactive the games are, and like the point of the games is really to involve the audience. But when you said that, I had like a little shift where I was like, oh, I could just do Dildo Pictionary in my house, like have people guess.
Sure. Or strip comedy. You can do strip comedy in your house.
I could do strip comedy. I could have a laugh, like people in a Zoom call or something.
That's true. And then also, because the rule is people can't, you know, in Texas, unless you have a license, you can't go past your underwear. But if you're in the privacy of your own home. Hey,
thank you very much.
There we go. Actually, on the subject of online content, I did one thing in contests. I'm in a group. It's actually for another podcast called Velvet Vibes. I'm friends with the host. They do talk about like relationships and music as well. But they did a reality show where some of the regulars in the group, we answered a question with a 10-second video, and then the other members of the group voted for who they thought did the best, and then whoever got the least amount of votes got kicked off. I made it to like the fourth or fifth round. It was super fun. It was really, really fun. What did I do? Well, like the first one wasn't all that great, but I tried to be a little creative with it. It was, why are we attracted to unstable people? And so I got, so I played.
I don't want to talk about it.
I got you. Well, I was just going to say really quick. Is mine, I played the instrumental to Beach Boys Surfing USA. And then I said, is any surfer will tell you calm water is boring. To keep that shit exciting, and then I pulled out a picture of a sad-looking surfer. I go, you gotta have some waves. And so that was my first round one. Then my second round one was, why is quarantining with you fire? And I said, quarantine with me and fire is because I know how to stoke it, know how to stroke it, know when to poke it. It was, yeah. So I miraculously survived that round. And so I just got
miraculously.
Yeah, just got crazier and funnier. It was fun. It was a really a fun experience. It was a cool thing.
Yeah, what is it like? I mean, the line that you said about that person in Austin that took months to write a line that was like super fresh, I resonate with that a lot. So like, what is the creative process like for someone who just has shit coming to them all the time? Like,
well, sure. I think that one thing about it is that whenever I was little, I always loved to talk and stuff. I was always and stuff. And who knew that overly talkative little boy would grow up and become a rapper? It's like, it's a that annoying kid in Midland, Texas. But well, so the content, as far as things to say, was always really easy for me. And then once I got into poetry, the rhymes were always pretty easy too. In retrospect, they actually were pretty complex whenever I was young, but they've gotten more complex as I've gotten older. And then the thing that people have known for a long time have noticed is that as I've gotten older, I've been able to assemble the sentence faster. So whenever I was in my teens, early 20s, I would use a lot of filler and stuff, and then just try to get to the end rhyme. But now I kind of just can put the whole sentence together and just kind of do it real easily. The rhymes get more complex. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you feel that way with your stand-up, that sometimes I'm very puzzled by people who do feel that what I don't understand is is how they would assemble something over a long period of time. Like, do they, like, so like one line comes to them and then like weeks pass and then another line comes to them? Like, how do they do that? Like, how's that go? Because like some of your stand-up bits, did your stand-up bits it seemed like did a lot of your stand-up bits come together, or was it a longer process for you?
That's an interesting question. And I think that like that's the other thing is I do love writing on stage, even though it's kind of scary but I have to have crowd work or I can't do it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So the only time, and that I think is like, I do have some improv stuff that does come to me. Like I'm an okay improviser, but I have to have the interactivity with a person. So if the crowd isn't interacting with me and they don't want to hang, then I'm not going to write any new jokes that way, you know? And then the other way that jokes come to me is normally in conversation with people. So it's still that interactive thing, or an experience from my life. Sometimes just a punchline. Like punchlines will come to me before setups do for sure. Like, and then I'll have to write around the wordplay or something. But that's the part that's interesting to me for you, is that like it's all coming at once. Whereas for me, it's like I don't really get a whole joke at once most of the time. Most of the time I get part of a joke and then I have to kind of find the rest.
I would say that with the format that I am practicing now, is I almost feel like the punchlines, like the setup is really just my conversation with the audience. And so the punchline, those are just kind of coming out as I'm talking with people. So, for instance, another one from that last Sell Your Body show you put on, somebody had given me a word like mastication. No, they given me. I didn't realize this until afterward that I had told them they could write 2 words, and so the words were angina and mastication.
I remember that. I remember like you reading that on the stage, and I was like, "This poor motherfucker."
I know. I'm like angina, mastication. And he like tells me I didn't know that angina is chest pains, that mastication is eating, and I was like chewing chest pains. It's like some alien shit. So, just in that moment, I just was like, some alien shit. And then he goes, oh, and then I said, okay, I'll try to do something with this. I go, somebody's seen the show before. Like, oh, we're going to fuck up Mr. Freestyle tonight. So, that's a punchline, but it's really just like any punchline. It's just something funny to say. But the setup was this real life situation of me getting a word that I was like, mastication? Angina, mastication? What?
Yeah. Yeah, anyway. I've been thinking a lot lately about how, and this is more like meta, but like anytime you randomize something, it increases the probability of comedy. And so like if you're thinking about a whole crowd of people, they're all writing down words, like the opportunity for you to like have a misunderstanding or to like fuck up their world or them to fuck up your world, like that drama is possible because they did that,
Certainly. And I tell people about that too, right? Is on the crowd work thing is that, if you talk about, people's physical appearances and stuff, is that really does seem, or it gets pretty scripted, because it's all the normal stuff, it's not like you're going to get a whole different crowd. Like a lot of those are pretty scripted. But I think that a lot of comedians who do that sort of thing, I think that they find comfort in that. Is they're like, oh, well, it looks like crowd work, even though I've done this joke a million times. As where with me, I try to set it up to where I don't know what it is coming down the pipe at all. And I feel like, just kind of like what you said, is that when it's really random, when I have no idea what someone's going to say, because I feel like I can hit the ball a lot farther. Because what was one that was so crazy, and this was so funny because I was trying to do a clean show. I was like really like, okay, I need to have some clean tape. I'm going to try not to swear. I'm going to like
Sell Your Body show.
No, it wasn't a Sell Your Body. It
no.
was at the Preston. Yeah, Sell Your Body. That's definitely not the vibe. It was at the Preston, and anyway, I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask any sexually suggestive questions. I'm just going to kind of do straight up questions. I'm going to try not to swear. And then I said, who in this room has a really unusual object in their home? And this couple, they start talking amongst each other, and the woman's like, okay. And the guy goes, we have a remote-controlled dildo. And I was like, so I just immediately took my hands, I was like, And on the tape, where I get a huge laugh is where I said, because I was so confused. I said, I have so many questions. Like, I said, what? I said, yeah. So in the video, I'm going, why, what, how, do, and then everyone started laughing because I was super confused by this remote control dildo. And then they told me that it was. Then they told me that it was on an iPhone application. I was like, you know,
I've heard of those.
Oh, you heard it? Okay,
Yeah.
You can tell me about what it is. One thing about my show is sometimes people will say something really unusual, and as a person will want to find out more. But then as an improv performer, I was like, I got to move on to the next person. But I was like, I'll tell you what, man, that company has been so lost ever since Steve died. They have no idea what they're. Ever since Steve, remote control dildo. I was like, is it like those lamps where, you know, the lamps are connected, and whenever your lamp lights up, it means that the other person is touching it because they're thinking about you, and then that's what it's like with the app dildo?
Oh my God, I have to like find out. There's this show, Most Expensivest. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, with 2 Chainz. I've heard of it.
Yeah, and he goes and they have an episode about this pocket pussy that connects to a dildo. The episode is so fucking funny.
I'll check it out. I love 2 Chainz, and he's so funny.
Oh, he's stoned the whole time. I love that show so much.
Yeah.
Talk about creative. But his humor, and it's the whole, like, everyone on crew is like so obsessed with this technology. Like it's like blowing everybody's mind. And so the humor is really in like not understanding and being confused, you know, like that's so funny.
Yeah. I was certainly confused. Number one, that they brought it up, and then secondly, what it did. I was just so intrigued. And then what was the other thing about that night that I'll always remember is there in the front was a man and a woman, and the woman was the most pregnant that I had ever seen somebody at a comedy show.
Doing stand-up?
What?
Doing stand-up?
No, she was just in the audience.
Oh, okay.
So I said to her, I said, so like, when are you due? And she said, very, very soon. And I said, so this is potentially, I go, is this your first child? And they said, yes. And I said, so this is potentially the last time you'll be out as, you know, a couple without any kids. I was like, I need to ramp it up. I feel it's early on. I've been riding out of 6 all night. You know, I feel the pressure right now.
That's funny.
And so I said, do you know what if it's gonna be, you know, what it's gonna be? And they said, no, we don't know that. And I said, do you have any like hopes for its future? Do you think it'll like grow up to be the president of the United States, or do you have any ideas of what your baby could be? And the guy goes, no, we're fine with whatever it chooses, just as long as it doesn't use things like remote controlled dildos. That were okay. I was like, hey everyone, no fighting in the audience. So.
I love it when audience members have like a little, they're like still ready to go. Yeah.
That's always funny. It's happened a handful of times where they'll throw a little jab, and I'm like, hey, let me be the comedian, everyone. Hey, I got the microphone and the beats. Let me do this.
So what is it like so I've seen you at Sell Your Body show. Do you go to poetry open mics and you go to improv shows? Like, where do you perform to get your shit in?
Yeah. I play anywhere they'll let me on. So I'll do like a wedding or a bar mitzvah, or I'll even do like a funeral. I was like, hey, everybody, tell me about the deceased. I was like, yo, check it. He's in a casket. Got a question, ask it. Anyway, so I'll do anything. But the places I play the most are, I play a lot of improv theaters, in part because, they appreciate the improv aspect of it. So I play the Station Theater a lot. I play Comedy Sports, the Preston Theater, a whole lot. They're just my good buddies. So I think that they booked me a lot just so we can go get a beer afterwards.
Aww.
All right, we're gonna let James sit. We'll sit through James's set so we can all go do some drinking after this set. And I play the Right About Now Poetry Slam. I've been the feature there a handful of times, but what I'll mostly do at their open mic is just go up and just do one. I'll just do one freestyle, and because the guy who runs it, Amir Safi, is a good friend of mine, and so I'll just do one freestyle because he has a DJ there and everything, and so it's actually kind of funny because everyone else is generally pretty somber. A lot of the poetry is very very somber natured, but then so you got somebody talking about their their dead dog or something, and then I get up there and I'm like, hey, everybody, it's freestyle time. It's your boy Jay representing Space Rhyme. Hey, so it's an interesting contrast.
Yeah, poetry open mics are weird. I remember where we met at House of Tea, right?
Okay, I'm trying to remember if we met for the first time at House of Tea or at Guava Land. One of the two.
I think it was House of Tea.
Okay.
And they had that mix open mic. That's where I met a lot of people. And it was like always this, I haven't found another vibe like that where it's like just cool enough for me to go up and do jokes, but like not so cool that all the comics are there,
Right. I love that place. I was very, very sad when they closed down. I loved it. Because, that was certainly a place where you could go up and try something, and people there would kind of let you know if it didn't work, but they wouldn't go to town on you. They'd be like, hey, so it wasn't the best, but, keep working on it. And I think that place also, I wouldn't say that, did you ever see any, like, really unusual acts there?
I mean, I saw some performance art that was kind of like, I love performance art now, but at the time it was like culture shock with like, face paint or like singing around the room every now and then, maybe like 3 times total.
Well, I think the first time I ever went there, when I walked in, there was a guy reading erotic Winnie the Pooh fan fiction.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting as he's on the mic, and I was like listening to him, and I was trying to figure out if he had a British accent or a speech impediment. And then after a little bit, I realized he had both. Oh, wait, it's both. He's British and another thing I'll always remember about that open mic is that there were these 2 much older men, 60s or so, who were both like folk singers. And one was very, very politically conservative, and the other one was very, very politically liberal. And they would fight each other through their folk music. And so they would get up there, and so like the right wing guy would get there and do his thing, and then the left wing guy would get up there, and his song would be about how the other song was stupid and was wrong, and then the right wing guy would be like, hey, can I get another song in real quick? And then listening to those would be like, no, yeah, after time. He's like, I can't. Okay, next week you'll hear what I have to say about what he just said. So it was a bizarre.
So when you first said that, I thought you meant that they had an act and that's what they did in their act. But what you're telling me is that they, in fact, were actually fighting.
Yes, they were actually not on good terms. And then you'd walk outside and they'd be holding their banjos and guitars arguing about politics.
Wow.
Like, no, it's a hoax. It is a media hoax.
That is so funny.
It was odd, but fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I was very, very sad when that place shut down.
Yeah, that was like a treasure. I guess we didn't treat it well enough. We didn't appreciate it.
Well, because I got to know the owners a little bit, and it was the woman who ran it. She was just tired of it. So I think they were doing well enough on business, but I think she just felt like it was too much and stuff. So it was because me and D-Trey's last song there was about how much we love Tea House and how much we were going to miss it. And her husband didn't really come around very much, but he came around for that last night. And he was like, wow, I didn't know you all had such an emotional connection to this place. He was like, I would have found someone to manage it. I was like, what? This is
Coming in the last second.
Yeah, he's like, he's going to save it. It's like, we saved it through a freestyle. We saved the Tea House.
Oh my gosh, that's what a cute little story though, if that were true.
Would that have been so neat? Yeah, but
so we're getting close on time, but I really want you to tell the story of how you predicted a musical and how there is a musical out there that exists that you had the idea for. Do you remember this?
Oh, sure. I would love to tell this story. No, this is such a funny story. Whenever I was a teenager, I was in theater and everything, and I was got into all the plays I'd never heard of, all the musicals I'd never heard of. Became a huge fan of Rent, and then I became a really big fan of Chicago and a huge fan of Jesus Christ Superstar. Well,
those are like my top 3.
I know, right?
They're so good.
Yeah, totally. So around that same time, I was starting getting into rap and stuff, and I was like, I would love to do a hip hop musical about the life of Jesus. And I started writing out some lines like, Judas, how could you do this? Betraying the cheek that you kiss. I shouldn't be surprised. It was all prophesied. A bunch of my disciples, they're going to write the Bible, stuff like that. So I was going to do a hip hop version of the life of Jesus, but I was like, it's too similar to Jesus Christ Superstar. I can't do it, And then I was like, what if I were to do a hip hop retelling of the Revolutionary War? And then I was like, yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll have, like Black and maybe Latino actors play the founding fathers, and it'll like stir up a bunch of controversy amongst purists or whatever, and then they'll get real mad, and I'll get a bunch of attention, and that'll help me get famous. And so anyway, put that idea on the back burner. Pursued my story about the hit woman who can't get a date instead. Anyway, years later, here comes Hamilton. I was like, what? This was my thing. And so anyway,
that is so crazy to me.
Yeah, well, and then the other thing that happened before Hamilton is a friend of mine who's a huge nerd had wanted to do a rock opera about the life of Aaron Burr. And then once he and I became friends, he was like, hey, we should do, and then I told him about the Revolutionary War idea, and he was like, oh, we should combine it with my idea about Aaron Burr. And this is way before Hamilton. So I told this story over the years, and one of my friend's moms was like, there is no conceivable way that before you heard of Hamilton, you were working on a hip-hop musical about the life of Aaron Burr. And I was like, listen, here's the thing, is that how are you going to make a hip-hop musical about the guy who was shot rather than the guy who did the shooting? The guy who shot is way more gangster. The guy who was a victim? What's that? The guy who got killed gets the hip-hop musical? Oh, you got about the guy. And Aaron Burr was quite gangster. Is that, number one, he shot Alexander Hamilton. But secondly, he was trying to secure the Louisiana Purchase to create his own country. So he was trying to form a new country within the United States. He married a woman who was a rich heiress who was like 40 years younger than him when he was 80. And on his deathbed, she served him with divorce papers. So yeah, I mean, yeah, his life is crazy. I'm like, come on.
Wow.
You picked the guy who came up with the Treasury Department instead of the guy who's trying to rebel against the United States, form his own country, and got divorced as he was dying by his much younger wife. Come on. But Hamilton's a dope musical. It was really, really fun. Whenever I got to see it, I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah.
That is so cool. What like you just put it into the world and someone else like got to water it and grow it and harvest it.
It's one of those things where you're like, I'm going to do a hip hop musical about the founding of the United States. Who knew that was a tried idea? It's like, it's like talking about Mr. Obvious, duh. Got this crazy idea. It's like I've heard like 4 or 5 different pitches. Look, got hip hop musical about the life of Jefferson. Live with John Quincy Adams. Listen, everyone's doing hip-hop musicals about founding fathers, okay?
You could send him a spec script of the Aaron Burr spinoff.
Yeah. You always have such good ideas. Because then what would happen if the rivalry emerged just like Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton? But of course, given who me and Lin-Manuel Miranda are, it would not culminate in a gunfight, but rather a rap battle. Me and Aaron Burr, or me and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I would love to see that.
Me and Lin-Manuel Miranda rap battling. It'd be interesting.
So I'm curious. What are your goals right now? What are you working on?
Absolutely. I am working on. Actually, I didn't tell you about this. A mutual friend of ours, who's a comedian, and I found out is a lo-fi beat maker. Is Ryan.
Yes, yeah. I love Ryan. His music's going to be all over the online Slayer Body show.
Oh, awesome.
He's really good.
So I never, because I didn't know him particularly well. I always thought he was super funny. I always loved his stand-up that I saw. But I didn't know that he made that kind of music. And so I reached out to him, and it was kind of funny because I was thinking about waiting until after quarantine. And then it occurred to me, I was like, we're all so bored. We should just do it now. And so I hit him up, and he was like, yeah, I'd be really interested. And so he and I have been working on some stuff together. And
Yay!
yeah. And then other than that, I've just been, writing a lot, making a lot of music, coming up with different ideas, that sort of thing. What about you? What have you been working on during quarantine? TikTok videos?
A lot, yeah. I started a TikTok. I've done 3 TikToks so far. That's been really, occupying my time.
You're gonna be my first TikTok follow because it's on my to-do list to make a TikTok. But you're gonna be my first follow. I'm gonna follow you.
Hell yeah.
I wanna see TikToks.
I'm doing witchcraft, so my TikTok's pretty witchcraft centric. And then I have a conspiracy theory podcast. I'm pretty much just like getting back on all the shit that I started before the quarantine. Like I have irons in all these fires. So, I'm starting this podcast. I'm doing the conspiracy theory podcast. I'm doing the polyamory podcast live in a Zoom call.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. I'm really excited about that. But I don't really have any, I'm in the same boat where it's just like, I'm not really planning. I'm just kind of trying to keep my head down and do stuff,
I think that one thing is there's probably a lot of people out there that have, are kind of unfamiliar with this world. And so they're like, oh, I'll try doing a podcast. Oh, I'll learn how to play an instrument, try this. But, you and I are always doing stuff. So it's like, oh, what are you doing over the quarantine? It's like, this big mountain of shit I've been leaving half done for like several years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I have all these half-written songs, all these half-written things. It's like, I'm just actually catching up instead of starting anything new. So
yeah, that's so cool. I can't wait to see you on stage again, brother.
No, yeah. Thanks for everything, Britt. You definitely are one of the coolest promoters. Well, you're probably the coolest promoter. We're definitely one of the coolest people I know. And you always do such a great job of like helping others get on. And so I just always have really loved that about you.
Thank you.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks for having me on this. This was super fun.
I super love you. You're one of my favorite people as well. Where can people follow you if we want to find you online?
The best place to follow me is my Instagram at Space Rhyme. And if anyone is, watching this live or whatever, tomorrow on my Instagram, as well as the WITS, Writers in the Schools Houston Instagram, I'm going to be interviewed by my old roommate turned neighbor, the poet Outspoken Bean, who you know. He's going to interview me about writing, and then we're going to do a creative writing exercise together that everybody can do at home. So
I would love to tune in. So that's tomorrow, which is the 23rd. This will probably go up tonight. And what time are y'all on?
5:30.
Okay, cool.
5:30 at Space Rhyme. Yeah. And I've been thinking about doing a live show, like a live version of a live freestyle comedy show. But I'll promote it through Space Rhyme. So if people want to find me, just find me on Space Rhyme, and I'll let everybody know when that is.
Hell yes. All right. I'm hanging up. I love you. Bye forever.